Assalamu alaikum again, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you back to Politics and Current Affairs show at Quews.news, the first ever English language news channel set up by overseas Pakistanis. I happen to be in London, and this is the second segment of the program that I'm hosting for you. And in this segment, we have one of our leading human rights lawyers, human rights defenders from Pakistan, Mr. Zia Awan, advocate. He's based in Karachi, and a very warm welcome, Zia Saab.
Thank you, Ari. And I'm really, it's great to know that our overseas Pakistanis have developed this English, and I'm very happy and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will convey your greetings to our organizers. Coming now to the subject of today's conversation, Zia Saab, what is your view on the Supreme Court's decision against the military courts, against trying civilians in the military courts? And how do you see that decision in the wider context of what is happening in Pakistan today?
Well, if you are talking about the politics now, so we might have different opinions. But what I see that in future, what Supreme Court has decided is not that bad to see what we are talking about, because we were struggling that the institution must have their own boundaries. And as far as the army is concerned, I think the army courts are concerned. We feel that they have their own jurisdiction. They can deal with their own people, or maybe the espionage cases which they deal with. But otherwise, if these kind of things are coming up, so we should also trust the Pakistani judiciary. And we should also, if we try to develop our judiciary further, that people should have trust. Because previously we have seen that era in Judicial's time, when in the High Court even the colonel and the brigadier were sitting with the High Court judge. And we have seen that a lot of military courts were established, and I myself was victim of that, and twice I have been to before military court in Judicial's time. So I understand that what is the issue behind that. So if you see in a longer term, so I think this decision is a very good decision they have taken, that the civilians can't be tried. But as far as the present situation is concerned, it's a very volatile situation, because what happened that the people have attacked the institution, one of the institutions which is armed forces and their installation. So that is something which is very, very deplorable, and it is also very, I will say that people are very concerned about it. So how to deal with that? I think we have to strengthen ourselves. And the court system is not bad in Pakistan. They will go to an anti-terrorist court, or maybe some other special court established by the civil judiciary, and they can be tried. But if maybe today I say that maybe this decision is not bad, it's bad, but tomorrow maybe the other political people will come into that situation. So that's why I think the longer way, I feel that decision is a good decision.
Right. In some sense, Zia Saab, you have actually reiterated the position taken by human rights groups, including the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, that we all cannot condone, nobody can condone as Pakistani citizens what happened on the 9th of May, and taking law into your own hands and then creating ruckus or resorting to violence cannot be condoned. But at the same time, there is a legal system available in line with the Constitution and the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution for the common citizens of Pakistan. So there are options available through Pakistan's legal system where civilians should be tried. Thank you very much for clarifying that, and I completely understand that you are very well aware of what is happening in the political scene also vis-a-vis human rights. So what kind of challenges you see at the moment as we speak to fundamental freedoms like the freedom of expression, assembly, association, and their impact on civil and political rights in general?
Naresh, I think we both are part of the struggle which we are doing. And I understand that what you are saying is that in the present circumstances, uh, the fundamental rights are always under danger. Remain danger for maybe 30 years. And what we have seen Rowlatt's time or General Musharraf's time, even in the civilian time, the fundamental rights always remain the prime subject for us, but on the otherwise, the fundamental rights are violated by, I think, I will not say one government or the other government, but every government, they try to do it. And what we are trying, you see now that say that every institution must have their boundaries. And I think people are realizing now in the, if they are not, so we are at the edge of a very dangerous situation. I will not explain to you because I don't want to be frustrating this thing, because I am part of this country. I'm a citizen. I'm more concerned about our own citizens. It is not only the people who are at the decision making. They can decide my life, but I can also, being a citizen, I can see that who is protected and who is not protected. So my humble view in this circumstances is that maybe political rivalries are different. People have played maybe a very bad role in politics, or they have usurped the fundamental rights, some governments. So it does not mean that we should sacrifice and say that we should bulldoze everything and to punish them. We should, if they have done any crime against institutions, or like you said that they have attacked on the installations, but they should be coming to the normal court. And normal court, I think this is another question for us. And this channel must have one debate that what our judiciary is doing. I think that is one question which we have to also raise, that how to raise our judiciary in a way that we should not be like regarded 128 position in the world about the judicial activism, whatever we've seen previously. So I think we have to enhance the judicial system, and the government should come forward, see like they should support the judiciary, and our judges should forget this grouping in the Supreme Court and the High Court and appointment of judges, or maybe there are several issues which we can talk about when the judicial activism will come in, that how we are acting. So why people are not having trust on us. As far as the people are concerned, I think we have to raise this voice that the judiciary should also enhance their capacity.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But don't you think that there has to be, and you have hinted at that, but I would like you to explain it a little more, that, judicial activism sometimes, not sometimes, in the recent past, we have seen that many times they have encroached upon the political space. So one, that the political space is being sort of shrunk because of the permanent institutions of the state, the establishment, or the both the bureaucracy and the military establishments. But at the same time, you see the judiciary also encroaching upon the political space. So how can that balance, that trichotomy of power that upon which the Constitution of Pakistan is based, between the parliament and the judiciary and the bureaucracy? I mean, how does that come about? I mean, do you see any hope for that when we have the new parliament in place in spring next year?
I think what you are saying is that we have also seen a very bad era in last some years, that the judicial power used by the judiciary in a very bad way. They have encroached the parliament, the powers of parliament and also establishment. They should not have done. The people are going to judiciary, to the court for justice. And they are not, you see, like people of Pakistan, are really afraid that why the Supreme Court judges and High Court judges are so active in mingling into politics, and they are favoring one party and another party. I think we have not seen that before. Maybe before, after this, before Chaudhry Prakash, we were not having that kind of a situation. Maybe one judge or two judge or maybe one person is taking the side, and we were also talking about in the bar rooms and in seminars, and we were cursing them. But now, you see what I see, they have a group of political judges. I think the appointment judges is in question. Now, we were raising this voice, and the other people were raising voice. As a member Bar Council, Pakistan Bar Council, I raised it several times that the rules of the Judicial Commission must be made. That who can be the judge? Who can be judged? Because we were bringing judges from different chambers of the chief justices or maybe the puny judge or whatever. They were bringing their own people into it. And they were involving them to cite them. And still, Supreme Court is not empty. The Supreme Court is still full of political people. And we have tried, the nation and the political parties must decide that how to bring judiciary as an independent institution. So they should be deciding in case if the law permits.
Do you think there's a solution? If I may ask, Zia Sahab, that do you think that in the Charter of Democracy, it was said that the constitutional court will be separate from the appellate court that we have right now. So, do you think it is a good idea to have a constitutional, a Supreme Court, which is a constitutional court separate from the highest appellate court?
I agree with you. They have brought this in writing, but they did not do anything. Those political parties, they did not try to bring that situation. It is not the judiciary who is going to make the constitutional court separate, because it is the parliament, it is the political parties who should introduce something into the assembly that they should separate the constitutional court and the normal court. So they did not do their homework. They have done the charter.
So you don't see a will among the political parties to separate the two.
I don't say that will, but maybe they are stuck somewhere. Maybe in situations where they were not having time. So I think we should raise this voice. I think you have brought a very pertinent question and very important question, that the constitutional court should be separate and the judges should be, and I think all the judges should have integrity, which we were not having. I will give you an example. 6 years in Sindh province, the Chief Justice who remain and recently retired, the Supreme Court Chief Justices were making public statements that he is not fit for judge. So why he was fit for as a Chief Justice or a judge of the Sindh High Court?
Yeah.
So the whole Sindh was left on him, and he has ruined the judiciary. And nobody is talking about it. And he went very pleasantly, and now he will receive his pension and he will do everything. I think we should talk about it.
Finally, because I'm sorry we're short of time, but finally I want to put a final question to you in our conversation today, and that's a bit of a different question from what we have discussed until now, but it is for everybody's interest. What do you make of this process that we are going through, which is taking us to the election, to the new election, and how do you look at this pre-poll electoral process, as well as elections happening on time? What is your take on that?
The Supreme Court is hearing that. I think there will be a date fixed very soon, and whatever results come in, I think you can see where you are sitting in UK. So why their democratic system and the election system established, because some members I know that they are once elected, they are elected for maybe 30 years regularly. And some members who are elected once, they are being thrown out by their voters. So we should have a process of election, and I hope that election is I think the process in which we can, I think we can resolve our issues. Although some business community, which I talk to them, they say that 15 years of democracy has brought us to this edge. And now what question is right or wrong, we have to discuss this later.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Zia Awan Saab joined us from Karachi. Viewers, we have Munizae Jahangir with us, who's one of our leading journalists, anchors, and human rights defenders. She also sits on the Council of the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan at the moment, and a daughter of an illustrious mother, Asma Jahangir. Munizae, thank you very much for joining us on this Politics and Current Affairs show on Quews.news. And since I happen to be in London, I'm hosting this show, and this is a kind of a role reversal. So thank you very much. And my first question is that how do you look at the decision of the Supreme Court, the recent decision, the 4-1 decision of the Supreme Court, which has stopped the military courts from trying civilians, and which sees that it is in contradiction of the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution? How do you view that decision, and how do you see it being implemented?
Well, I think it's a very good decision that the Supreme Court has ruled that no civilians will be tried in a military court. But does that really mean that it will shut the gates forever for civilians to be tried in the military court? I'm not so sure about it, because they have not interpreted the official act. Now, when the full order comes, we will have more information on exactly where we are going with this, whether it's retrospective or not. But as of now, all those defenders, human rights defenders who have been in jail and who have been tried under in military courts, civilians, for example, one rights activist I can think of is Idris Khatak. And they will be, and hopefully that he will also, his case will also be tried now in regular courts or in anti-terrorism. The big question really is, what will be, in the order of the Supreme Court when they do write it. There have been many civilians who have been tried in military courts. For example, Waqar Seth had overturned the death sentences of civilians. There were around 90 civilians, I think.
Justice Waqar Seth of the Peshawar High Court.
Justice Waqar Seth of the Peshawar High Court. Now, that was pending in the Supreme Court. There was no decision on it. What will happen to those civilians who are being tried under the military courts? And what we are hearing now is that those trials will have to be stopped, that the Supreme Court decision will have to be adhered to. However, the government has decided to appeal the decision. So we will have to wait and see what happens in the appeal. However, we are also told that the scope of the appeal may not be that wide, and any judge worth their salt will not allow a parallel legal system. This is something that most judges, whether they are on this side of the divide, and there is now a divide, a clear divide, or that side of the divide, there is a consensus that there should be no parallel legal justice system, especially when the International Court of Jurists has condemned it in the past, has said that this is a complete violation of the right to fair trial. And they have also said that they are shocked, and they use very strong words to condemn what had happened in the military courts when there was a shutdown clause given to the military courts, and through an amendment in the parliament, military courts were allowed to try civilians, and special military courts were allowed to try civilians.
Munizae,
even now, what we are hearing.
Munizae, I would also like you to touch upon the colonial laws, which have been around for like a good 100 years now. And do you see any possibility of any future Parliament of Pakistan actually either completely abrogating or suitably amending laws like the Official Secrets Act? The Sedition Law has been struck down by Lahore High Court, but still, on the very next day, a former MNA was picked up under the same sedition law. But, do you see any possibility? And the blasphemy law also comes from the colonial times. There are so many other laws that come from the colonial times. And we, instead of getting rid of these laws, have been making them more stringent. I mean, why? Why is that? And is there a possibility? Is there any hope that we can, put into our parliament to actually revisit the whole colonial past and turn Pakistan into a modern, democratic, inclusive republic?
Well, let me tell you what the political reaction to the Supreme Court judgment has been politically. As far as the PTI is concerned, we all know that Imran Khan has, petitioned before the court that there should be no trial of civilians in military courts. However, ironically, it was under Imran Khan's government and with the approval of the cabinet that 29 civilians were tried in military courts. It was under his government
During
that
Imran
it all
Khan's
began.
tenure.
Absolutely, when it was his government and he was the prime minister of the country, and this something like this only needed a cabinet approval. At that time, people did say to him that something that is not good, that will not set a good precedent. However, he went ahead and allowed civilians to be tried in military courts. Now, after that, we have seen the other big political party in Punjab, the PMLN, very, very shockingly now support the government move of appealing the decision of the Supreme Court. And they have been saying that, after 9th of May, there has to be some place where all these people have to be tried. And when they are asked this question, that why not in the anti-terrorism court? I mean, in fact, perhaps they would be given even stricter punishments. And that is something that even Ashtar Saif Ali, who's the former Attorney General of Pakistan, very closely linked to the PMLN, I asked him, he said, yes, even in the anti-terrorism court, they will be given very strict punishments. I said, then why not allow them to have those trials in the anti-terrorism court? But then he says, no, we are surrounded by enemies, we have a one, and therefore all of these civilians need to be tried somewhere, and it has to be the military courts. Now, when you ask the PTI at this very moment is telling that their clients are not even given a proper charge sheet of what they're charged inside of military courts. They're not even told evidence against them. So it's very difficult for the lawyers who are defending these people to actually defend these people because they are not given the proper evidence. And they say, okay, even if we are allowed a right to appeal or right to writ, in this case, they're allowed a right to writ, not appeal. The scope of evidence and the evidence that we are given is not sufficient for us to defend our clients in any effective manner. So it's shrouded in secrecy. There is no transparency in what is even happening now, despite the Attorney General saying that there will be, but there isn't. And whether the military courts will cease hold civilians trials in military courts is something yet to be seen, because my sense is still the appeal is not done away with or decided upon. The trials will keep going on. In Peshawar, for example, there is confirmed news that the trials have been ongoing. And that is what is very alarming.
No, but I actually would want you and would like you and request you to answer that question, that do you think that the parliament, the new parliament, which hopefully we get a new parliament, a new National Assembly and provincial assemblies, and of course Senate elections coming up in March, if the Pakistan's new parliament and provincial assemblies that we are going to have, will they be able to revisit certain fundamental issues with the constitution, with governance, and with the economy of Pakistan? Do you see a hope there, or it is going to be difficult and a sort of a continuity of the hybrid governance models that we have experienced over the past few years?
I honestly think it depends on who becomes prime minister. If it's going to be the number twos in the political party, then they will be beholden to the establishment who has helped to bring them into parliament and into the prime minister house. But if it's number one of each political party, whether it is Imran Khan or whether it is Mia Nawaz Sharif, the result could be different. The mood could be different. The way forward could be very different. At the moment where things stand, the PMLN is very clear that they support the military courts. that they support the trial of the civilians in military courts. Pakistan People's Party has always, in principle, have opposed it, but in the past, look at the history, they did sign on the bills that allowed military courts to exist, and with a sundown clause, of course. But I remember Raza Rabbani shedding a tear, but still signing on the dotted line, allowing the military courts to take shape. Similarly, with PTI, they were very much for the military courts. So, whether the politicians have learned, they have already been through the grind, they have already been at the receiving end. Will they learn? Will they move forward in a different direction? Frankly, I don't think so. But there is always hope. And I think that the civil society, in one voice, especially the lawyers' bodies, have been very clear. The judges have been very clear that military courts are a denial of fair trial.
Thank you very much, Munizae, for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, viewers, I beg leave now as your host in Politics and from the Politics and Current Affairs show at Quews.news, the first ever English language news channel established by overseas Pakistanis. And before I sign off, I would also like to tell our viewers that it is only, in my humble opinion, and think about it, look at the world history, it is only democracy, federalism, and equal citizenship in Pakistan that can help us grow, evolve, and become a modern, peaceful, and development-oriented society and state. Thank you very much.